Listen carefully. Most men miss it. Not because they're stupid, but because they've been trained to ignore subtlety. They're waiting for obvious signals, loud invitations, clear permission. But attraction rarely announces itself like that. It leaks, quietly, in fragments, in behavior that doesn't look like desire on the surface, but underneath, it's loud. She won't say it directly. Not at first. That would cost her leverage. That would expose her too early. So instead, she shows you. In patterns, in small decisions, in the way she positions herself around you. And if you don't understand what you're looking at, you'll hesitate. And hesitation kills tension. Let me tell you something most men learn too late. When a woman is comfortable enough to imagine being close to you, her behavior changes before her words ever do. You're not looking for lines. You're reading energy, and it starts with presence. When she begins choosing proximity without needing a reason, that's not random. People move toward what they feel safe with, and what they're drawn to. If she keeps finding ways to be near you, physically or socially, it means your presence has shifted from neutral to meaningful. She doesn't just tolerate being around you anymore, she prefers it. But don't misread this. Weak men see this and rush. They try to force the moment. They try to confirm it too early. That's where they lose it. Because attraction grows in tension, not in pressure. Now watch this carefully. When she becomes more relaxed around you than she is with others, that's a deeper signal. Not loud, not dramatic, but real. Her guard drops. Her tone softens. She lingers in conversations that don't need to last that long. She stops performing, and starts existing. That shift matters. Because people don't open up like that unless they've already decided, on some level, that you're worth letting in. And here's where most men sabotage themselves. They turn that moment into interrogation. They start asking too many questions. They seek validation. They try to figure it out. You don't analyze attraction while it's happening. You allow it to build. You match it, without exposing your full intent too early. There's a rhythm to this. Miss it, and everything collapses. Now pay attention to this next layer. When she begins to lightly challenge you, not aggressively, but playfully, that's not disrespect. That's engagement. Indifference is quiet. Interest has texture. If she teases you, questions you, pushes slightly against your statements, she's investing energy. And energy is never wasted on someone she doesn't feel something for. But here's the catch. If you react emotionally, if you get defensive, or try to prove yourself, you immediately drop your value in her eyes. Because now you're seeking approval instead of holding presence. The correct response is calm confidence. You don't need to win every exchange. You don't need to dominate the conversation. You just need to stay grounded. Because grounded men create tension. And tension is where desire lives. Let's go deeper. When she starts extending conversations that should have ended, that's deliberate. People who aren't interested naturally exit. They find reasons to leave. They create distance. But when she stays, adds one more question, one more comment, one more reason to keep the interaction alive, she's not confused. She's choosing you in that moment. Not fully, not completely, but enough to keep exploring. And that exploration is where everything builds. Now here's something most men completely overlook. Silence. When a woman is comfortable sitting in silence with you, without rushing to fill the gap, that's not awkwardness. That's trust. That's emotional safety. That's her nervous system saying, I don't feel threatened here. And when safety meets curiosity, attraction grows fast. But again, timing matters. If you rush to break that silence out of discomfort, you reset the entire dynamic. You show her you're not stable in stillness. And stillness is power. The man who can hold silence without tension, controls the frame. Now understand this clearly. None of these signals stand alone. This isn't about one moment. It's about patterns, consistency, repetition. Anyone can be nice once. Anyone can linger for a minute. Anyone can laugh at a joke. But when these behaviors stack, when they repeat without force, when they happen naturally over time, that's when you know something is building. And here's where the shift happens. At some point, she starts becoming more aware of how she appears around you. Small adjustments, slight changes in tone, attention to detail that wasn't there before. That's not coincidence. That's awareness. And awareness means you've entered her mental space. She's thinking about how she's perceived by you. And when someone starts thinking about how they're perceived, they've already invested. Now don't misinterpret this as a guarantee. Nothing is guaranteed. But patterns don't lie. Behavior reveals intention long before words do. And if you're paying attention, you don't need her to say anything. You already know. The problem is, most men don't trust what they see. They doubt themselves. They wait for confirmation that never comes. And while they're waiting, someone else, someone more decisive, moves. And everything shifts. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. Are you observing, or are you hesitating? Because there's a difference. One builds awareness, the other kills opportunity. You don't need to rush. But you do need to recognize. Because once you see it clearly, your response changes. Your tone changes. Your energy sharpens. And that's when things move forward, naturally. If this is starting to shift how you see interactions, don't ignore it. Lock it in. Because most people will go their entire lives misreading what's right in front of them. Pay attention. Because what comes next goes deeper into the signals most men completely miss. Now we move past the surface, into the signals that most men feel, but don't understand. This is where attraction stops being polite, and starts becoming intentional. Watch her body language when there's no audience. Not when she's performing. Not when others are around. When it's just you and her, and there's nothing to gain socially. If she subtly closes the distance between you without acknowledging it, that's not accidental. People are extremely aware of personal space. When someone enters yours voluntarily and stays there, they're not confused. They're testing comfort, and comfort at that level isn't casual. It's physical awareness. Now here's where it sharpens. If she begins initiating light, almost unnecessary contact, brushing your arm, adjusting something on you, playful taps that linger slightly longer than needed, that's escalation in disguise. It's not about the touch itself. It's about how natural she makes it feel. Because if it feels natural, you won't question it. And if you don't question it, it can grow. But again, most men ruin this moment. They either freeze, or overreact. They turn a subtle signal into a big moment. And the second it becomes a big moment, the tension breaks. You're not supposed to react like it's rare. You're supposed to receive it like it's expected. That's what keeps the frame intact. Now understand this next layer carefully. Eye contact. Not the obvious kind. Not quick glances. Not surface level attraction. I'm talking about sustained eye contact that holds just a second longer than normal, followed by a slight shift in expression. A softening. A pause. A micro hesitation before she looks away. That pause, that hesitation, that's where intent leaks. Because in that moment, she's not just seeing you. She's feeling you. And feelings, real ones, create tension. If she repeats this pattern, if it happens more than once, you're no longer in neutral territory. You're in emotional engagement. Now here's something even deeper. When she starts asking questions that have nothing to do with surface conversation. Not, what do you do? Or, where are you from? But questions that move into your mindset, your views, your perspective on life, relationships, decisions. That's not curiosity. That's evaluation. She's not just talking to you anymore. She's trying to understand you. And people only do that when they're considering something beyond the moment. This is where many men get it wrong again. They answer too logically, too safely, too predictably. But attraction doesn't grow from safe answers. It grows from presence, from conviction, from a man who isn't afraid to stand in his perspective without trying to impress. Because when you stop trying to impress, you become interesting. Now watch for this shift. When she starts mirroring you, your tone, your pacing, even small behaviors, that's subconscious alignment. People naturally sync with those they feel connected to. It's not planned. It's not forced. It just happens. And when it does, it means the gap between you is closing. But here's the most overlooked signal of all. Availability. Not full access. Not obvious availability. Selective availability. If she makes time for you, specifically you, even when she's busy, even when it's inconvenient, that's not random. Time is the one resource people protect the most. And when someone reallocates it toward you, That's priority, not declared, but demonstrated. Now combine everything you've seen so far: proximity, comfort, playful challenge, lingering conversations, silence without tension, subtle touch, sustained eye contact, deeper questions, mirroring, selective availability. Individually, they mean little. Together, they tell a clear story. And that story is simple. She's moving closer. The only question left is whether you recognize it, or you let it pass. Because here's the reality most men avoid. Attraction doesn't wait forever. It builds, peaks, and then fades if nothing happens. If you stay passive too long, the dynamic shifts. She reclassifies you. The tension dissolves. And what could have been something real becomes just another missed moment. Not because you weren't enough, but because you weren't decisive. And decisiveness doesn't mean aggression. It means clarity. It means you understand what's happening, and you respond without fear. Not rushing, not forcing, just moving forward when the moment calls for it. That's what separates men who experience opportunities from men who watch them disappear. So the next time you notice these patterns, don't overthink it. Don't wait for perfect confirmation. There is no perfect confirmation. There is only awareness and action. Controlled, calm, intentional. Because when you move at the right moment, everything feels natural, nothing feels forced, and that's where real connection happens. If this changed how you see attraction, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who keeps missing the signs. And if you're building that level of awareness, stay locked in. There's more depth ahead, and you don't want to fall behind.